TG Geeks, episode 263, March 2nd, 2020. Let bygones be the road of bygones. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it.
We talk about it.
Were you waiting for me? No. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, almost vacation time, Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from very lovely, but it's going to be getting cold and rainy tomorrow, Phoenix, Arizona.
Yikes.
Yeah, I know,
Yuck.
kind of sucks.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we have an interview with Astrid Ovalles, and she is a New York-based actress, filmmaker, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Artist.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a Renaissance person.
Yes, exactly. And we're here to talk about her new project, and we'll get to that when we talk to her. We have our birthday shout-outs, and there's some interesting things in that this time. Our featured podcast of the week, we got feedback, some shout-outs. Our second segment, we're going to talk about a couple of things, and the weekly recap, and our regular shout-out. So let's get on with this interview with Astrid. And this time we welcome to the microphone Astrid Ovalles. She is an actress, writer, and director, and she has a new project that she's going to tell us about. Welcome to the show, Astrid.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. This is really, really awesome.
Yeah.
I love doing these things. It's so cool.
Yeah, and Mona's always really good to us. She sends us some really great people, so some great interviews and great,
I bet.
People that do interesting stuff. I mean, really interesting stuff. Yeah. So tell us who is Astrid Ovalles and how you kind of
How did you get to be doing all of this?
Yeah, how did you get into all of this? Actress, writer, director. So
it's a long story.
In a nutshell.
I was born an artist, and I grew up painting. So that was my first love, was to paint. And then I always wanted to act, so I acted when I was a kid and when I was a teenager. And I moved to New York when I was 19 on my own right after I dropped. I would think I went to college for like 3 months, and I was like, yeah, this is not my cup of tea. I'm just going to go to New York and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
So once I moved to New York, I started doing little indie projects here and there. And the more I did, the more I realized, this is something I can do, because everybody around here sort of is involved in entertainment somehow. So it seemed to me when you don't do it, it seems something that's not obtainable. It just seems like a dream. But when you see people who are your age and who are making, little movies, whether they're short films or big projects, and sometimes, they really big hits, and sometimes they just do it and they make these gorgeous little pieces of art. And that's what I love about New York, is that it has that heart,
Right.
It's not really about the commerce of it as much as it is about the content and just being fulfilled with what you do.
Yeah.
So after I had done several indie projects as an actress, I decided to maybe take a shot at a short film. So my best friend and I started working on Camp Belvedere. That's a short film I made in 2014. It's 38 minutes long, and it's totally different from Road of Bygones, but that's really what got me into filmmaking, because once I did it, I said, this is absolutely what I want to do.
Right.
It was amazing. I just loved it, because as a painter, I love the visual aspect of it, but then I got to also work with musicians and technicians and lighting technicians and, directors of photography. And then I got to be behind the scenes recording music with musicians, composing music with, music composers. And I said, with film, you can have it all. I mean,
right.
I designed the costumes, and
oh, wow.
Our first film was a period film, so it took place in the 1960s. So I was all about the costumes. I picked the set. I did everything pretty much on my own, and then I hired a really, really great crew here in New York to shoot it. We shot it in about 2 weeks, and it became a hit. I mean, I never expected it to be so. I was just kind of doing it because I loved it. And once I released it, people, I have sort of a niche lesbian audience. And they just really, really loved it, because I sort of wanted to emulate lesbian pulp fiction. It was really big back in the day, and I loved the way that they did sort of exaggerated, that like pain and anguish of not being able to be with the person you love and that type of thing. So I wanted to make a movie that was like those stories, that was sort of a little bit sort of like a comic book. And it was a hit. So after that, I started working on Bygones with my friend Oriana and my wife Sarah. And Oriana is also an actress and director, and Sarah, my wife, she's an actress and an opera singer.
Oh, wow!
Oh,
cool.
Yeah. So the three of us wrote Bygones. I wrote the script by myself. It took me about a year and a half to write it, and then we shot it together. We actually shot the entire movie in 8 days.
Wow.
Which was insane.
That's crazy.
And,
how long is it?
Yeah. We got to work with Valentina Caniglia, who's a huge director of photography. And I never thought that she would actually work with me. I just kind of sent one of those emails that you just expect to go into a void.
Yeah, you never know what you always have to try, and if they what's the worst they can do is say no
or not answer.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I keep looking if she doesn't answer, but she answered right away, which is actually, it was the most pleasant interaction I'd had, because I spoke to about 15 to 20 directors of photography, and they got to me sort of like a week later, and they were like, well, we don't know if we can do this in 8 days. It's kind of a little ambitious. And when I spoke to Valentina, she responded within an hour, I believe, and she loved the idea of shooting it in 8 days, because she's Valentina is a true artist. She loves lighting, she loves cinema, she loves creating, she likes to have freedom. So I said, you can do whatever you want, because I've seen your work, and your work is gorgeous to me. So whatever you want to do, this is your chance to basically put your signature on this movie, because I want you to be the artist that you are and bring it into the film, because my concern is telling the story. But as far as the visual aspect of it, I want you to make it, something you've always wanted to do, but maybe you're restricted because, the director wants this way or that way. I'm not that kind of director. I hire artists who I already like their signature, and then I give them the freedom to do what they do best. That's how I like to work with people.
That's
great. For Bygones, we had a great team, and it was shot so fast. And then what took a long time was, of course, editing it. And that's kind of how it all started. I mean, of course, I think it starts when you're a child. You sort of get these ideas, and something kind of clicks, So for me, it was coming to New York and seeing people on set, and it wasn't as impossible as I thought it would be. And then when I tried it, then it was like second nature to me. And obviously, I'm still learning, and this is my second film, and I'm very proud of it. And I think that we're only going up from here.
Right.
So I founded Recluse Films, my company, for us to be able to have a brand with which to tell stories for the LGBTQ community, and for women, women stories told by women, and queer stories told by queer people, acted with queer people whenever we can, stuff like that. And so I think it's needed. I think
absolutely.
I think people crave it. I think our community craves content that's told by us. People who who have lived the life and who've been lonely and who've overcome things and who had to fight to get married and all that.
Yep,
I think we want to hear from each other.
And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm really noticing now, and I think you've come along at just the right time, is that for one, the independent film market is just now beginning to explode. I mean, it is green pastures all over the place, and we are seeing just this plethora of amazing work coming out that in some cases I think is actually better than the big studio stuff.
We've always said that. And sometimes the independent stuff is better than any of the big money studio stuff.
Sure. And the other thing that I think is amazing is the LGBTQ form in terms of storytelling. And it doesn't matter if it's book, television, or cinema. All of a sudden now there is this demand for good quality LGBTQ content.
Absolutely.
And for you to come along, especially for women, it is such it's fertile grounds. It's amazing that all of this kind of came into place for you, and it's a wonderful thing that it's all managed to happen to you, especially someone like you who has such a great love for being able to tell a story, make a movie, whatever. What I'm curious about is, I mean, you talked about how you found all of this area in filmmaking to be so enjoyable. What about challenges? Were there anything that you came across that you thought, oh my God, I had no idea it was going to be this difficult, or I didn't know about this particular aspect of the movie making business?
Not really, because what you said, about green pastures for indie filmmakers is true, because we've cut out the middleman where, before you had to have somebody who got to decide whether or not your movie was worth watching for other people. Now I give my movie to my audience completely, from me to you. So there's nobody in the middle saying, we're not going to put your movie on, because all I have to do is put it on my Vimeo channel. And there it is. And whoever likes my work, they can watch it. If you don't like my work, watch somebody else's work.
Exactly.
But it's not somebody deciding for us. You know what I mean? Like, I love short films. I love watching indie films. There are a lot of artists who I follow, like on Twitter and stuff, and they're always coming out with these little projects that are just beautiful. And you see such gems out there for minorities and women and LGBTQ people, because we're not being stopped anymore.
Right.
And that's fantastic. As far as challenges, of course, the biggest challenge with film is it's always funding. So I'm very fortunate that I have a good job, and my job, I work for a lovely, lovely company who treats me very well, and they're very supportive of my art. So they work with me with my hours, and whenever I have a shoot, they let me take off and so on. So I'm one of those fortunate people that just sort of can have both. But I do work very hard, to be able to fund my own films.
Wow.
Road of Bygones was funded by 80% me, 20% donors. Most of it, we had our executive producer, Dolores Juliano. She was a big part of it and the funding. But, without money, it's difficult to find good technicians, good musicians.
Right.
So you're always playing that good, fast, and cheap triangle.
Exactly.
And because you can't really reach out and say, well, I'm making a movie that's kinky, lesbian, has Hispanics, and please give me $2 million.
You want to do that for free, or?
Well, but on the other hand, though, as just as much as you being an independent filmmaker, there are a lot of other independent artists. It doesn't matter what field they're in. Let's pick a musician, for example, or a composer. There's a lot of people out there who are very talented, and yet they're having a hard time getting their work out there. And I think that even if it was on the financially on the inexpensive side of things, I think they would jump at an opportunity, because it's at least some kind of avenue for them to get their content out there along with your film, and say, hey, here I am, here are my credentials. I actually got to write something or contribute something to this particular film.
Spread the love.
Yeah. It's true. That's kind of how New York works as far as indie film. Whereas, like, if you admire somebody, you'll sort of, work with them. And again, one of the many reasons I love New York is because people put art before anything else. I do believe that artists should be paid, and I believe that minorities need to be paid because financial independence is, I think, key for us to be able to thrive as a community.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think until we learn to, get paid what we're worth, we'll be able to have better content because there is a demand for higher quality lesbian films and bisexual films, transgender films, because we don't have the money to make the movies we're used to watching, that come from multi-million-dollar budgets. So you go in to an audience that's used to mainstream content, and then they're having a difficult time adapting to the quality of an indie film. So that's why you have to put the emphasis on the story and make sure that it gets to their heart. And that's something that we feel here in New York. And what happened was that I kind of went looking for artists who maybe didn't have that much exposure, and I really sold the art. And so they really worked with me. Of course, I didn't short anybody because again, to me, financial freedom is key to us being able to thrive. I believe that. And that's why I worked so hard to be able to pay everybody. But they did work with me a lot, so I can't complain.
Right.
They were lovely. So we help each other out because we love what we do. But I'm not the kind of person who will ask for too many favors. I mean, if somebody offers, sure. But I like to pay my crew, keep them happy. I like to see, the people that I work with be pleased when we're done, and we have a continued relationship because of that. Exposure is great, but, exposure is not going to pay for your roof and your food.
Exactly. That's about all we offer sometimes, because we don't make a dime off of this show.
Yeah, that's why we have day jobs.
And this website that we run.
Yeah, I mean, I do that all the time. I work for free all the time because I love to do it.
Right.
But I don't like to ask people to do it. If they want to do it, of course, I'm eternally grateful. But I don't like to ask people to do that because
we have.
I get it.
We have a couple of people that their thing is. It's a little bit more than exposure. We have one lady that writes for us, and she does movie reviews. So we get all these press screenings, and she loves to go to the movie. So it's a natural fit for her. So it's kind of her little payment. And then we have a couple of other people that do different things, and they get something different out of it too. I want to back up just 1 second and ask a question. You said that you were born an artist. So when did you discover that you had this penchant for art? Obviously very young. And did you have any formal training in art, or?
I actually remember the day I discovered that I was an artist. I was painting. I had a little Flintstones backpack when I was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. And I just took a piece of paper and I drew what was on my backpack on the paper, and I gave it to my mom as a gift. And she said, "Oh, that's cute. Did you trace it?" And I said, "No, I didn't trace it. I just looked at it, and then I drew it." And she was like, "No way!" She didn't believe me because it was exactly the same.
Right.
And so then I did it again in front of her. She watched me, and then she said, "You have to keep doing this because this is incredible that you can do this." So after that, what I would do is I love Ren and Stimpy.
Oh yes,
the show. Well, back in the VHS tape days, what I used to do is I would record Ren and Stimpy, pause it, and then I would draw my favorite frame of the show while it was paused. And so that's how I started drawing. And then I didn't have any training. I just kind of drew and painted all the time. I experimented with a lot of mediums. My family is very artistic. They love the art, so they were always encouraging me. My grandmother was always taking me to the artist shops, the museums, and we used to do all these things together with the art. So I was very lucky that my family sort of noticed, and then they pushed me in the right direction.
Oh, that's great.
So, so I'm a big-time painter. I love right now I do realistic oil paintings with like Renaissance feel.
Oh, cool.
I actually just sold a piece to someone, and I'm working on the next one now. I'm trying to think of a concept, but that was the day I thought it. And
wow, that's cool.
With acting, it was a different thing. I love movies so much that I thought, how can I be one of these people that gets to be all these characters? And I just feel like, I'm such a kid. Like, I always just want to be playing dress up and stuff and putting costumes on and being different people. Like, I want to be evil, I want to be a villain, and then I want to be, a hero, and then I want to be miserable, and I want to kill somebody. Obviously not in real life, but but I want to have all those experiences in some way, shape, or form, and I think that acting allows that. So when I was about 12, I told my mom that I wanted to act, and she sort of, she had no idea what to do about that, but, but she did say, maybe take theater in high school, and I said, okay. So then after that, I really, really fell in love with acting.
Right.
And I studied it. Finally met in New York. Jock McDonald was probably the teacher that really, really unlocked that thing for me that I felt, okay, now I can act,
Right.
It wasn't natural to me, like painting was natural to me, and I just always was able to do it. With acting, I wasn't very good until I had the right coach.
Right.
And somebody who knew how to get me to that place, what to say, it's key to have somebody guide you, because the moment you figure it out, then you go, okay, that's what it is. And it's a difficult thing to explain because it's intrinsic, and I don't even think that there's a word for it. But once you get it, you just sort of like, okay, I got it. And then you always know when you're not there, and then you know when you're there. And fortunately, because we're in the, I get to watch playback and a lot of things, and then I can make adjustments and so on.
Right.
So when I was here meeting Jock McDonald and my friend Oriana, who plays Sam in the movie, Oriana and I are always discussing acting. We're always helping each other, and we're always directing each other. We took that class together, and we worked together on pretty much every single project. So she actually just made a movie called Go-Go Boy, which you might love if you want to jot down and take a look at it. It's a beautiful little film about a boy who is guided to be a boxer, and he wants to be a ballet dancer.
Oh, so, cool.
He comes out as gay, and I think he's like 11 or something. It's a beautiful film that she just made. I helped her out with it a little bit. So
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, since we haven't talked about Road of Bygones, what is that about? Mm-hmm. So, real briefly here.
Road of Bygones, it's a dark comedy. It's a lesbian dark comedy about three women who go on a road trip to retrieve the ashes of their dead mother. So two of the women are estranged sisters. We don't know why they're estranged. And the other two women are a married couple who is a DS couple, domination and submission. So one of them is a dom, the other one's a sub, and the sister is estranged with the other sister. We don't know why. So they go on this road trip. They find out that the mother died. And, of course, because of their dynamic and the personalities, everything just sort of falls apart in the middle of the trip, and then they have no escape. And my friend Leah, who was the first assistant director, asked a very good question once. She said, was it intentional to put them in a car? Because, when you're in a car and you get into a fight with somebody, sometimes there's nowhere to go,
Exactly.
If you get into an argument with your partner or your whoever in an apartment or in the street, you can always walk away, and you can always sort of. But when you're in the car with someone, there's something about...
You just can't jump out the window.
You have to resolve it. Yeah, you have to resolve it. So they have to resolve it. And because there's so much love and intensity and passion between the three of them, they feel like they have to work it out. There's no other choice.
Right.
And that's what the conflict is understanding the sister... The DS relationship, of course, I think that was personal to me, and that was included into the film because I sadly got bullied by my own community, by lesbians and bisexuals, for being a dom. My wife got a lot of very, very bad comments for being a submissive woman. When I say submissive, I mean consensually entering into a contract with,
Right.
responsibly communicating with me about her desires being of submissive nature and so on. And we just got rejected by the lesbian community. They thought it was anti-feminist, and they thought that, it's not right for a woman to want to enjoy pain or to be humiliated for sexual gratification. And I just thought it was so hypocritical that it was driving me crazy. So I said I want to make this movie, and I think it's a good opportunity for me to make this couple DS, and then that way maybe it'll help people who are DS and lesbians who are DS who don't feel like they have a seat at the table, because that's how I felt when they came out as a dom in 2014, and my wife especially, because I think submissive get the worst end of it. They're thought of as like they have no power, no control, which is absolutely erroneous.
Well, I think
if you do things responsibly and consensually, I think a woman should choose what brings her pleasure. That's what I think feminism is, about: equality and autonomy and speaking to your partner, saying what it is that you want, and being able to receive it in a way that's adult and communicative and so on. And I really wanted to add that to the film.
Well,
the film has a DS relationship, and it's not extremely kinky. It's just about an everyday life with a DS relationship.
Right.
I think that's an awesome thing that you're doing. In addition to, contributing to the independent film market, the fact that you've now been able to create this all woman, LGBTQ kind of, a movie, as well as shining a good light on the DS aspect. I think, these are the things that we need to be seeing in cinema, and it's really great that you're doing that. So, for people who, let's talk about ask about the film first. For people who want to see this movie, how is it going to be made available to them?
Right now, it's available on Vimeo. So if you go on Vimeo and you search Road of Bygones, or you look my name up, all my movies will be there, and you can rent it on Vimeo. Oh. If you want to wait to watch it on your big screen TV, you're welcome to wait until it's on Amazon. It's going to be on Amazon on March 15th. I'm also going to have DVDs available on my website on March 15th.
Oh,
so March 15th, basically, you can just go on Amazon, look up the title, and rent it. If you want to watch it immediately, you're welcome to do that on Vimeo, too, so it's accessible. You can even just Google it, and you'll find it. It'll be there.
Cool. So so that's how people can find Road of Bygones. Now, if people want to learn more about you, what you're doing, any future projects. I mean, do you have any kind of internet or social media presence by which people can follow you and follow your work?
100%, because I love to talk to my audience, and I love receiving feedback, and I love to listen to what people want. So I'm always on Twitter, I'm always on Instagram, and I'm always on Facebook, and I check all of them regularly. It's all me talking to everybody. I try to answer all the messages and all the emails. So Twitter, it's Astrid O on Twitter. My Facebook is Recluse Astrid, and my Instagram is Recluse Astrid.
Coolness.
So I'm everywhere.
Excellent.
And I talk to people. I talk to my fans, and I'm there.
Wonderful. This has been really great.
Great conversation.
Yeah, thank you for being on our show this time.
No, thank you for having me. I really love talking to you guys.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director, producer, and here you are listening to my favorite podcast, The Two Gay Geeks. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was a fascinating interview.
She was a very interesting person to chat with.
Oh my gosh,
very
very talented.
Yeah,
so
and
many
it's clear that we're going to need to talk to her again.
Exactly. So here's a few selected birthdays for March 2nd.
A few?
March 2nd through the March the 8th. March 2nd, Daniel Craig.
Bond, James Bond.
Actor, 007, almost as popular as Sean Connery, or being... thinking of when you think of 007 nowadays, you think Daniel Craig.
He
and Sean
really
Connery.
has. Yeah. He's cracked that shell now. Where when you think 007, the ones you're going to think about will be Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and Daniel Craig. Now,
exactly. Forget all the others.
Who?
Exactly. And who remembers George Lazenby? Nobody.
We saw it.
Anyway, also Rebel Wilson,
Oh, God.
actress. She was in
Nut.
Bridesmaid, Pitch Perfect, and The Hustle, which
Oh, my
we saw
God.
recently. Oh my God, what a crazy
She is
film.
just nuts in that.
She was also in Cats.
Yeah?
Interesting things about her. She has a law degree.
No.
Yeah. And in 2012 through 2015, I think, she shared a home, her West Hollywood home, with Matt Lucas. And she is allergic.
I can see that.
She is allergic to dogs. Yet she grew up in a family that is dog handlers and showers.
Okay, so
A house full of beagles.
okay. Well, she probably learned a way to cope.
Exactly.
I'm more stuck on the fact that she roomed with Matt Lucas. I mean,
Yeah.
I can really see that. I mean, I love Matt Lucas. He's just wonky.
Both of them. are
Crazy.
just crazy. And we have Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss. Man of many talents, illustrator, poet, political cartoonist. He didn't start writing children's books until after World War II. 1950 was his first children's book, If I Ran the Zoo. 60 books and over 600 million copies.
I remember when I first read Cat in the Hat, and I thought, okay, that's cute. And I read it as a child. And even then I thought, okay, that's cute. But when I read, then my mom, I remember one time because I'm a kid, my mom's reading Fox and Socks to me and my sister.
Uh-huh.
And the further on it goes, the weirder it gets. And I remember my sister and I were literally doubled over in laughter. It was so funny.
Yep. And Green Eggs and Ham. And
Yeah.
Horton Hears a Who.
Horton Hears a Who, which I
Horton-
loved.
Yep.
But there was one other. I can't remember the name of it. I'm really ashamed of the fact that I can't remember it. But it dealt with these two individuals who were walking a straight line and kind of bumped up against each other.
Oh. I didn't-
And it's sort of a social commentary, I think. And I remember feeling really sad when it was over because neither of these two people were willing to, see the possibilities of compromise.
Yeah, interesting. And then we have Karen Carpenter, a singer from the Carpenters.
She was an amazing talent.
Amazing talent, left us way too soon
Yeah,
because
she had
of
mental
anorexia. And shone a light on the anorexia as a disorder. And hopefully we are slowly moving toward people accepting their bodies as they are and, getting rid of those horrible disorders of anorexia and bulimia.
Yeah.
Then Desi Arnaz.
Lucy!
Yeah, actor, singer. Ricky Ricardo and The Lucy Show.
He was...
Or I Love Lucy.
The
that
man
is.
was like the superstar of superstars from when he was in Cuba.
Oh, my God, yeah. And then we have Jennifer Jones, actress. She was in The Song of Bernadette, Towering Inferno.
Oh.
She was from Tulsa.
Well, there you go.
Yep. And then we have Bedřich Smetana, composer. He was a Czech composer of The Bartered Bride and The Moldau. He was kind of overshadowed by some of the other Czech composers, but his Bartered Bride is it's incredible music, and The Moldau is incredible too.
I've heard The Bartered Bride. I don't think I've heard The Moldau, though.
Ethan Peck.
Spock. Who I am crossing my fingers because there is talk of possibly seeing a new Star Trek Enterprise series that will center around Captain Pike.
Yeah. that'd be
Everybody's
great.
been screaming for it. I know that Anson Mount is like, wow, sure, if they approach me, I'd be happy to do it. And of course,
I'll do it. It's a job.
It's a job. Well, I think he also appreciates that the fans loved it.
Oh, yeah.
And they embraced him. And they embraced Ethan Peck. They loved Ethan Peck as Spock. They thought his portrayal was just Spock on.
Spock on.
Yeah, you didn't see what I
moving
just
on.
did there. Yeah, moving on.
Gates McFadden, actor, dancer, Dr. Crusher from TNG.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how Jonathan Frakes referred to Gates, don't call me Cheryl McFadden or something like that.
I see. She actually was a great dancer.
Oh, yes.
She choreographed the ballroom scene in Labyrinth. She was a Muppeteer.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. And of course, they had to use that. They had to use her skill as a dancer when they did the episode Data's Day in Next Gen, and she gets to be the dancing doctor.
Yep. And then Lorraine Newman, actress, Saturday Night Live, lots and lots of television.
Yeah,
and voiceover.
I loved her.
Oh my gosh,
I don't know what she's doing now. I loved her in SNL.
She does. She's doing a lot of voiceover work right now in television. She was in Jingle All the Way, actually. So
I don't even remember her in Jingle All the Way. My God.
Yep.
And we just saw that.
Yep. And then we have Facebook friends Darren Bergstad of Arizona Opera and Mark Ross, filmmaker in Las Vegas.
And who is still working on Curse of the Phantom Shadow, but he does post regular updates. I mean, and since he's financing this thing completely out of his own
he's
pocket,
doing all the work himself.
He's doing the whole thing. So it's a slow go. But you know, he is working on it, and he's really proud of what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I hope he can actually get it done soon, because I'm dying to see this thing.
Exactly. And another filmmaker, Matt Hayes.
Happy birthday, Matt.
March 3rd, Alexander Graham Bell, inventor of the telephone. And Chief Joseph.
One of my mom's heroes of the Indian nation.
Yes, leader of the Nez Perce tribe during the forcible removal in the 1870s.
Died of a broken heart.
Basically, because they had tried to go into Canada and be under, protection there. And then they were captured just 40 miles north or south of the Canadian border in Montana.
Well, and
then he surrendered on the prospect that everybody could move back.
Right. And
they put him in prison.
Right.
And moved him around and moved him around and moved him around and moved him around. And he finally just died.
Yeah. It was tragic. And he believed, he was promised on a handshake that if he surrendered, that his people would be allowed to move on. And that promise was broken.
Yep.
And wow, it's such a tragic story.
Yep. Well, as all of the Indian removal projects that the U.S. government undertook, it's just horrible. James Doohan, actor Scotty for the original series. He was the inventor of the basics of the Klingon language, which was later fleshed out by Mark Oakland.
Right. He was not a linguist. He was more of a master of dialect.
Yeah. He actually provided several sounds and a couple of words, and then Mark Oakland took that
all. He grabbed what James had done and then created, and he did the same thing for the Vulcan language too.
Yep. And his ashes are in space.
Well, actually, they fell back down to Earth.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it couldn't achieve a sustainable orbit.
Brian Cox, physicist. He was a presenter of the BBC Wonders Of. He wrote the book Quantum Universe, and very much in the vein of Brian Greene in being able to bring physics and string theory and quantum mechanics to the general public so that you can at least
sort of digest it,
be able to sort of understand it,
And we have emphasis on the word sorta.
Sort of, exactly. I've tried to read The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene several times. I get to one point, and it's like,
then it's a brick wall.
Whoa, I can't read anymore.
Yeah.
And then we have our lovely cat sitter, Raven. She has been watching the cats for 15 years.
And assuming she's watching the cats when we're in New York.
She is. March 4th, Chaz Bono, actor, singer, activist, trans son of Cher and Sonny Bono. His transition story helped the cause for trans people to be a little more open about their transitioning. Paula Prentice, actress, What's New, Pussycat, Stepford Wives, and Mr. and Mrs. Dracula.
Oh my God!
It was
really?
It was a pilot.
Obviously, one they didn't sell.
Exactly. Steven Weber, actor, DS9, Sleepy Hollow, and Jeffrey. Wonderful, wonderful film with Patrick Stewart, and oh my gosh, it just
Michael
you have
T.
to
Weiss.
See Jeffrey.
Oh,
go look it up.
Such a fabulous movie.
Film. And Ward Kimball.
Oh, one of the 9 old men.
Yep, animator. He was for Disney. He was the animator of Lucifer, The Crazy Cat. He also did Casey Jr. and all the other.
He was a big
trains.
train fanatic.
Yep, he got Walt into trains,
and he did Jiminy Cricket.
Yep, Jiminy Cricket was his, and he had a working railroad in his backyard,
and that just completely converted Walt.
Yep. And the interesting thing is there is an engine at Disneyland, the number 5 engine. It's called the Ward Kimball, and it has a stylized Jiminy Cricket on the light box.
Yes, the light box.
So it's really fascinating.
Isn't some of his stuff at a train?
And that
museum?
train has a really storied past.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story.
Isn't some of his... he's got something, I think, at in Paris, California, at the train museum there?
Yeah, I think his... backyard railroad house was there. And then we have Facebook friend Justin Reed and Kristen Rowan. March 5th, Rex Harrison,
My Fair Lady
on stage and screen. Jake Lloyd, actor, young Anakin, had a very hard life. Isn't he doing something now?
I don't know what he's doing now. I know that he said that Phantom Menace utterly destroyed his career, and he's been heavily criticized regarding his acting. And the strange thing is, I remember we saw him
Jingle
in
All the
Jingle
Way.
All the Way. He was actually very good in that.
Yeah. It was just before that.
Yeah.
So, very, very interesting. And Heitor Villalobos, he was a composer, Brazilian cellist, guitarist, and composer, one of the most influential Latin American composers. He wrote a lot of music. His etudes for guitar were dedicated to André Segovius. And his Bachianas Brasileiras with Anamorpho is buried on a CD in the Songs of the Auvergne, but they're just incredible. Oh my gosh. You should check out some of his music. Andy Gibb.
He was the
singer.
youngest of the Gibb brothers.
Yes, but he was too young to be a Bee Gee.
Yes, but he established himself one heck of a solo career.
Quite a career all on his own, and died tragically at the age of 30.
He committed suicide. It was very sad. He suffered a really horrible breakup. I can't remember with
I don't know that it was suicide. They said it was he checked himself in for chest pains, and it was just his years of addiction had weakened his heart. So,
well, I know that he really fell into substance abuse after a breakup.
Yep.
I can't remember who he's in a relationship with, but yeah, they ended up breaking up, or she broke up with him, and it just devastated him. And I think that's when he fell into bad substance abuse.
Yep. And then we have Penn Jillette, actor, Penn and Teller, bass player, funny man,
con man,
exactly. Dean Stockwell, actor, Dune, Quantum Leap. Man, he went way back in TV and movies.
It was just really funny when David Lynch was getting ready to make his version of Dune. Somehow he learned of Dean Stockwell and didn't even know that Dean was still alive.
Oh, good Lord. And he's still alive today.
Well, he's still alive today. In fact, not only that, I mean, Dean actually got himself a really great jump start on his career again after Dune.
Yeah. Then we have Jack Cassidy, actor,
father of David Cassidy.
Father of David. He was a working TV actor. You look at some of his, he was in this and that and the other.
He was a real showman in his day. Unfortunately, he kind of fell out of the limelight while his son David kind of came into the limelight, and they had such a contentious relationship for years.
Yep. And then Matt Lucas,
oddly enough,
actor, Little Britain, openly gay. He was Nardole in Doctor Who,
and Little Britain's coming back.
Yes. March 6th, Michelangelo, sculptor, painter, high Renaissance period, lived in Florence. The
fact that he could do what he did, not only the quantity of the work, but the quality of the work.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I am just in awe of painters of that period and sculptors for, my gosh, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh!
I mean, you look at the statue of David, and it's like when I say anatomically perfect, I'm also referring to the muscles, the bone structure of the body. I mean, it is like perfection.
Yep. And he lived to be 88 years old.
Oh, God bless him.
Late 1400s, early 1500s.
That's
just
ancient.
Incredible. Yeah, it was. Rob Reiner,
Son of Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner, actor, producer.
Filmmaker.
He was Meathead on All in the Family. And he definitely was / is his character, Meathead.
Yeah, very streaming liberal.
Yep. And just accepting of everything. It's just really a great guy. David Gilmour.
Pink Floyd,
guitarist, as well as his solo career, too.
Oh, his solo career is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's really happier doing his solo work now. And I swear to God, the next time he comes around and does another solo tour, I'm going to go.
Yep.
I got to go.
Eddie Deason, actor, voiceover. He was a geeky kid in Polar Express.
Oh.
And he looks like the kid. They modeled the kid on his profile and his facial structure.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Such a dork.
Yeah. And Kiri Takanawa, opera singer, Australian. She was incredible. Her career just spanned 40 years.
And she broke big because she was a last-minute substitute, I believe, in Covent Garden for the Major Figaro.
Yep. And then we have Will Eisner, comics artist. He popularized the term graphic novel in 1978. And his books on his book, Comics and Sequential Art, really was the basis for comic studies of being coming into university and being what it is. Mm-hmm. And is also the Will Eisner Award is named after him. Then we have Facebook friends, Claire O'Leary, our very first listener. Well, along with Brian. Yep, Brian and Claire.
Yeah, it's a battle. Who was our first listener, Arkle or Claire? I'm not entirely sure, but exactly. I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, exactly. And Karen Clark Foth, she was a classmate of mine, and Jenny Presnell. March 7th. Mickey Dolenz.
Wait a minute.
Oh, Wanda Sykes, sorry.
Yeah, you should have right
Missed a whole day. I scrolled too fast. Wanda Sykes, comedian, out lesbian comment, says it like it is, that's for darn sure. And Maurice Ravel, composer.
Arranger.
In his own right. He was most known for Bolero, but even more known for his orchestrations of the many piano pieces, most notably Pictures at an Exhibition by Mussorgsky. Then we have Betty Holberton. She was a programmer. She was one of the 6 original programmers of the ENIAC computer in 1945.
Wow.
She invented breakpoints and debugging, computer debugging.
It's wonderful when we can go back in history and see how women were able to just really
carve out a niche for themselves.
More than carve out a niche. I mean, for themselves, they went through that glass ceiling. Very handily so.
And then we have a Facebook friend and friend of ours, Glenn Schambach. He is the Grand Arbiter of Madame
Askew.
Askew and the temporal... oh my gosh.
I'm not even going to bother.
I've lost my mind here. March 8th. Mickey Dolenz.
A monkey. One of the last 2 surviving monkeys.
Yep. Aidan Quinn, actor. He was in Elementary, but I remember him when he first came on the scene in the movie An Early Frost.
An Early Frost, yes.
It was the early days of the AIDS crisis, and it was a heartbreaking film. Just really heartbreaking. And then we have Alan Hale Jr.
Skipper.
Actor. He was Captain Jonas Grumby, a.k.a. Skipper.
I didn't know that was Gilligan's the name, Island. Jonas Grumby.
Yep, exactly.
I always know him as Skipper.
Exactly. And then we have Sid Charisse.
Oh, all legs.
Actress, dancer. What a fabulous dancer. Singing in the Rain. Many other things. And then we have Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. Composer, son of Johann Sebastian Bach. He was the most prolific of Bach's children and a very influential composer during the transition from the Baroque to the Classic period. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
We want to give a quick shout out to Marriage of Inconvenience. It's a new Kickstarter program for Jason T. Gaffney's production that will stream on Deku, the LGBTQ streaming service. It's going to be a 6-episode comedy series about 2 gay guys thrust into a witness protection program as a married couple. The thing is, they can't stand each other. And Jason is the writer and director of Analysis Paralysis, who we interviewed some months back. And they have most of their funding from Deku, but they need a bit more, so they're doing a Kickstarter. Check it out and contribute. There are a ton of perks. And just go to Kickstarter and search for Marriage of Inconvenience. And in the spirits of transparency, we are backers of this project ourselves.
Okay, yeah, got to jump because we're running low on time. Some feedback here. Starting off with, this is regarding a press release we ran, Sesame Street, February episodes on HBO. Funny enough that we should cover this now. We're in March. Got a comment from one of my dearest friends, Darren Anderson. He says, I thought they stopped showing it. He said, it's 51 years old. And yeah, well, no, it's still around. That show is not going away. They're continually reinventing it. And then we got a comment from your favorite sister.
My favorite sister.
Yes, Lynn. She says, I miss the hour-long episodes, but they do get most of the important stuff covered in 40 minutes. Now, hold on. This is a general comment that we got from one of our dearest supporters, Patricia Chica. And I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this. Was a very long article that she wrote, but I'm going to paraphrase it. I've edited it a bit, and you'll understand why. Sundance 2020 is now over. This was the most inspiring edition I've ever attended. One of the main takeaways and breakthroughs I had this time, and that came out of various panels and industry conversations, is about the power of our champions. A high-profile filmmaker said on the HBO panel, having talent is not enough. Having connections is not enough. Having a mentor is great, but still not enough. What we need to succeed in this industry is having a champion, someone who will open doors for us, who will recommend us, cheer for us, look out for opportunities of growth for us, and who will always be there to protect our vision no matter what the obstacles, limitations, and challenges are. She continues, it made me realize how fortunate I have been to have had meaningful champions. She then mentions a number of people, and then she includes TG Squared Studios and how instrumental they have been to my career development and expansion.
Well, thank you, Patricia. You have been very instrumental in us succeeding ourselves. So thank you so much. And you are a wonderful collaborator with us.
Yes.
What did I do? Did I hit the wrong thing again?
No, I think
I
so.
did it again. No,
not that one.
What the heck? Where am I? I have something else to say.
I guess you do.
I got sidetracked I got a little verklempt by her comment there. If you want to leave a comment on, you can do that on our Facebook page or on tggeeks.com on each article or the episode articles. You can even leave a comment on our YouTube episodes, on Twitter, Instagram, and you could receive a shout out on a future episode. You can also call our listener feedback line and leave a voicemail if you would like. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. Now it's time for this. We are huge supporters of independent creators, just like Jason we talked about earlier. Please buy their stuff, talk them up, chat them up. Do whatever you can to support them, contribute to their Kickstarter programs. Please consider supporting independent creators. We also want to give a quick shout out to Joshua Tree Feeding Program, a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They are a all-volunteer organization and could use your help. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree Feeding Program. Go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Well, we have just one thing that we want to say in our second segment here, and that is that we are going to be on vacation in New York City.
Yeah.
The week of the 9th. And if you are in the New York City area and like to meet up for coffee or just whatever, let us know. Send us a message through the website. And now.
Here are some things we ran on our website at tggeeks.com. We will have the links for each of these articles in the show notes for episode 263 on our website at tggeeks.com. How meta is that? On Sunday, February 23rd, Dr. Zombie, I was going to say Dr. Monster, the zombie
Dr.
family.
Monster.
Yeah, the zombie family physician.
Exactly.
Number 89, although that might make for a great April Fool's gag.
Yeah, exactly.
On Monday, February 24th, TG Geeks episode 262. On February 25th, Jeannie Koch, Binging My Life Away, Doom Patrol. I've yet to read that. I really want to know what she thinks. On Wednesday the 26th, new series Betty debuts May 1st exclusively on HBO. Also, Rumble from Paramount Animation. We have a first look trailer. On Thursday, February 27th, Andrew's Angle, Onward is funny and magical. On Friday the 28th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Chris Watt. That is part 2. And then we close it off on Saturday, Leap Year Day, February 29th. Ben's Gay Book Breakdown, Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, is a murder mystery in true Agatha Christie fashion, but with werewolves.
You can find all of these at tggeeks.com as well as entries on our Facebook page.
We need to give some shout-outs to some people for allowing us to share our stuff. Actually, we first need to mention the Human Arcle, Brian Weber. Now, he puts out the Arcle Times Post-Dispatch News, which republishes some of our content from time to time. And you can find the Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. You do that by searching Arcle, at ARKLE. And then he also has the Shameless Cash Grab. He's in season 4, and he has already started episode 2, Streets of Blood. You can find that by going to youtube.com/Arkle Studios. Also, some thanks to some Facebook groups for allowing us to post all of our stuff there. First to Gay Geeks After Hours. You can find them by going to facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our lovely stuff there. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek, all one word. And as always, special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitchers, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. It would be helpful if I could read. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can listen to us and surf the web on your device. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article on the webcast for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page of things we talked about, including the Kickstarter for Marriage of Inconvenience. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please always be kind. Peace.
Cheers.